So, concealed carry for women can be a bit challenging. That's probably one reason this video has gone viral. Take a look.
If I can comfortably conceal and carry this many weapons, imagine how comfortable and practical it is for one weapon for your everyday lifestyle. Go to DeneAdams.com because purses are for lipstick.
So Anna Taylor joins me now. She's the founder and CEO of Dene Adams, who makes those concealment garments. So I gotta say this. So after watching the video, I'm pretty sure that you should probably get casted as a Bond girl or something in the next Bond film. Because that level of concealment I have not seen from anybody on the planet since I've been doing what I'm doing. So that video became incredibly popular for very obvious reasons, or maybe not so obvious reasons. Why do you think the video went as viral as it did?
Well, there have actually been several viral videos lately that I've done. I think that people are surprised because we're told that concealed carry needs to be a comfort and not comfortable. It's hard finding options, which is why I created it in the first place. And so, like you said, there's not anything like this out there. So it does shock people.
Yeah, I remember when I first came onto the scene, I came into an industry that was laden with everything was very kind of full-size handgun focused, and the mantra was you dress around the gun. I wholly rejected that. I think largely I'd become so accustomed to dressing a certain way prior to me getting into firearms that I wasn't willing to completely revamp my wardrobe in order to carry a firearm. I was dead set on finding a way to make that gun fit the way I want it to fit. Now, I give myself too much credit because I've benefited from the advancements in technology from the standpoint of a lot of the guns becoming smaller and still even more capable at the same time. So there's a bit more unique situation when it comes to females and women carrying firearms troubles that I never have to deal with because y'all like to wear pretty stuff. And I throw on jeans and the t-shirts and it's all good for me. So what drove you to kind of focus on creating a concealment holster for women specifically? Like, what type of issues were you addressing, or knew that you needed to address in order to come up with something that was very valuable for women?
Well, it started out when I got my concealed carry permit in 2013, and I went through 7 different types of holsters. And everything either printed really bad, or, if I just wore my normal clothes, I'd have to, take my holster off and set it down when I went to the bathroom, things like that. And with small children running around, first of all, I couldn't be taking off and setting down my weapon. I found myself, I wasn't in the best neighborhood, and I felt very vulnerable throughout the day being a stay-at-home mom. And I wanted to be able to do my, everyday things without having to compromise the safety of my household by introducing this weapon. Introducing a gun into the environment. So I had to have something that worked with me. I couldn't, I had my hands full. After investing in, getting a gun, getting a concealed carry permit, now I'm told I have to completely buy a new wardrobe. And I found that completely unacceptable and un-American. But it's not just about fashion for women. It's about being practical and our style as American females. that's part of our identity, part of who we are, and we shouldn't have to completely replace our wardrobe and dress like a man in order to conceal carry. So
Yeah, please don't dress like a man.
yeah.
No, don't do that at all. So now, in dealing with the women that you have been and who buy these holsters, what is usually their biggest issue? Like the one thing that they're like, I wish holster companies would pay attention to and focus on the way that you guys have.
Well, nobody's been able to achieve the level of concealment, and one of the major things that sets us apart is that so you have your traditional OWB here or whatever, and you've got your grip sticking out. So with that grip sticking out, you've got this pokes out through your clothes. Yeah. And most of the positioning, if it's appendix carry or any in your back, it's going to poke into your ribs. The end of your gun is going to dig into your pubic bone, and it's extremely uncomfortable. But because specifically women have loved our company because the placement is higher on your body. And so there's no, when you go to lean over or sit down and, just be comfortable, like I'm sitting here in my chair, I've got kind of my knees crouched up in my lap, and in my gun right here, it's comfortable. It's not hitting my ribs. It's not digging into my groin, and it doesn't get in the way if you have a child on your hip. The legs just go alongside it. So you're not bumping the children or knocking, getting your gun knocked out of your holster. And that's been one of the main things, because that grip is tucked down into the holster while remaining accessible. So
gotcha.
It's
Now I have this kind of sexist aspect of my personality, where I always felt like women who do carry aren't really concerned with being that concealed, because I figure no one's really going to be terrified by the fact that a woman's carrying a gun. I think in many ways they look at it and say, okay, that makes sense. Now, that's probably misogynistic and sexist. I don't know. But I've kind of had that mentality for the longest time. So please correct me if I'm wrong. Is concealment and making sure that no one can tell that they have a firearm on, is that as important to women as it is to men?
Well, I can speak for myself. It's very important because when I started out as a new gun owner and a new concealed carrier, anytime that I felt like the wind blew on me wrong or anybody could see my gun, I'm walking around with these awkward arms, and trying to hide it. And it made me paranoid. And, I can't be worried about, I didn't know, I've heard of, people walking into a park and there might be gang activity in that area, and I'm no longer just a mom with kids. I'm an armed person, and so it's very important to me. You need, as a woman especially, to have that element of surprise, and especially even if they suspected you're armed, they have no idea where you're going to be carrying that, and that gives you an advantage, especially when microseconds count.
Absolutely. So we're gonna with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk to you about where the name Dene Adams came from, and then we're going to talk about purse carry. This should be interesting.
Okay. Sounds good.